Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and very welcome guests. Are any of you any good at crossword puzzles? Amazing. Here's one for you. The girl who found it hot inside kettle. 7 letters. I've got about 7 minutes, so you just have time. No? Okay. Heather. Heat her. And a kettle is a sort of heater. During the Second World War, the Daily Telegraph set a special crossword puzzle. Those that solved it were invited to their offices and set a second crossword puzzle. And they had 12 minutes. Those that solved it were invited to work at Bletchley Park, the secret home of British code breaking during the Second World War. Before the war, the most secret was most secret. Most secret. Things hotted up during the war, so they had created a new one, ultra secret. Now, radio and Morse code were used to send messages during the war, including by the enemy. Now, the thing about radio, it's easily intercepted. You know, when you're in your car, you can tune your radio station and you can listen to broadcasts from all around the world. And by using a series of listening stations, it's also possible to triangulate exactly where these messages are coming from, who is sending them. And so it's for this reason that these messages were never sent in the clear. They always had to be encrypted in some form. So anyone listening to them would just get gibberish, gobbledygook, a series of codes that would make no sense whatsoever. Now, basic encipherment is very simple. Who here remembers those little decoder rings or code wheels in packets of cereal? I don't, I'm too young. But the way they work is you would write your message and A would map to D, B would map to F, C would map to, and so on. So you could write your secret messages. And that is a simple substitution cipher. Unfortunately, the German military were not using a system which fell out of a packet of cornflakes. They were using a system called Enigma. And an Enigma machine was quite simple. It resembled a typewriter. The operator would sit there, and they would type in their message, and it would light up on the display the enciphered version. There is a series of rotors for this. 3 to 5 were used. Each rotor, 26 settings, A to Z. But they could be put in any order. In addition to that, there is a plug board, wires. These could also be added to further increase the complexity of the logic. And then the message would be sent. And at the other end, another Enigma machine. It would have to be set up in exactly the same way. The operator would then type in the message, and it would light up the original message. Brilliant. And in the middle, Bletchley Park, listening in. Now, these two machines had to be set up the same way. And this was done by the way of code books, which are distributed by the enemy and changed each day. Bletchley Park didn't have these code books. So surely they could just try every single possible combination of settings. Brilliant. One small problem, there are over 150 trillion possibilities. I was thinking of asking you, we could all help me, we could each try one possible combination with an Enigma machine, give you all one each. We could try one, it'd be 30 seconds. It would only take us longer than the lifetime of the universe to try all of them. Personally, I'm going to a bar afterwards, so I wanted to leave you to it. Enigma was cracked by Polish mathematicians. They cracked an earlier version though, it didn't have as many possible settings. But it inspired Bletchley Park. Bletchley Park thought, we must need a special kind of analytical mind, hence the crossword idea. And using a combination of mathematics, mistakes by enemy operators, and technology, they were managing to decrypt thousands of ultra messages during the war. Now the trick was, though, not to let the enemy know this. They might receive a message saying there's going to be a submarine attack on Allied shipping in the middle of the Atlantic, hundreds of people would die. They couldn't just send in a fleet to destroy it straight away, or tell the fleet to go around the back way. Because then it'd be obvious that Enigma had been cracked. They changed the codes and any intelligence advantage would be lost. So instead, They were just sending a spotter plane, and the spotter plane would just fly in casually. Oh, look, the submarine's down there. And they gave an incredible story as to what happened. If they didn't have time for that, they just needed to do something, they'd do it. Then they would send a message to a fictional agent behind enemy lines saying, thanks for that intelligence, really good. And they would encipher that, but using an encryption system that they knew the Germans had already broken. They knew the message would be read. Another example of how this encryption, this work by Bletchley Park was so important was for the D-Day landings. D-Day landings, as everyone knows, Normandy. There's a huge campaign to try and misdirect the enemy forces. They even had inflatable tanks around the UK coastline to make it look like the landings were somewhere else. But by reading the traffic, the chatter coming from France, they knew that the bait had been swallowed. Now, Winston Churchill himself was a huge fan of Bletchley Park. He remarked that they were the geese that laid the golden eggs that never cackled. And when the mathematicians at Bletchley Park, they were being let down by their superiors, they weren't getting the support they needed, they wrote to the Prime Minister. They said, we need help here. And the Prime Minister, what did he do? Action this day. See to it that they get everything that they need, with extreme priority, and then report directly to me. Now, I wonder if you'd get that if you wrote to the Prime Minister nowadays. Bletchley Park still exists to this day. I really urge you to visit it. It's a great historical site. They are struggling financially, and so any support would really help them. They have a huge amount of history there, including actual Enigma machines you can play with yourself. And I'll leave you with the words of Winston Churchill himself that he imparted to King George VI. It was thanks to Ultra that we won the war. Mr. Toastmaster.